Long ago, in the rugged hills of western Nepal, the village of Surangsa was bound by a strict tradition, the Chhaupadi Pratha. Women were considered impure during their menstrual cycle and banished to a remote Chhau Goth, a small, crumbling shed on the edge of the forest. The villagers believed this practice kept their gods appeased, but in truth, it was a practice steeped in fear and ignorance. Deep within the forest stood an ancient banyan tree, twisted and blackened, where it was said a witch named Kankali had been burned centuries ago. Her spirit, the villagers believed, still roamed the area, feeding on the fear and despair of the banished women. One monsoon season, a young girl named Maya was sent to the Chhau Goth for the first time. The Goth was cold and dark, its walls barely holding up against the torrential rain. Maya's mother had slipped her a small talisman of protection, whispering, "Keep this close, my child. The spirits cannot harm you if your heart stays strong." On the second night, Maya heard whispers. At first, she thought it was the wind, but the voices grew louder, calling her name. Looking out into the darkness, she saw a faint light glowing near the banyan tree. Against her better judgment, she stepped outside. As Maya approached the tree, the light coalesced into a figure, a woman with long, flowing hair and eyes as black as the night. It was Kankali. Her voice was both soft and commanding as she said, "You are different, child. Unlike the others, you do not cower in fear. Help me, and I will free you from this cruel tradition." Terrified but curious, Maya asked what she meant. Kankali revealed that her spirit had been bound to the tree by the village elders long ago. They had accused her of practicing Kala Jadoo, dark magic, to control her husband and defy their rules. In truth, Kankali had been a healer, a woman of knowledge who had dared to question the elders' authority. The banyan tree was her prison, and the Chhau Goths were her feeding ground, filled with the pain and misery of banished women. If Maya could break the curse, Kankali promised to end the suffering. But there was a price. Maya would have to face the dark magic that held Kankali captive and risk becoming bound herself. Maya agreed, determined to end the torment for future generations. Armed with her talisman and the mantra her mother had taught her, she began the ritual under Kankali's guidance. The air grew thick with shadows, and the ground trembled as the tree resisted her efforts. Suddenly, the shadows took form, twisted, monstrous creatures born of the village's fear and ignorance. They surrounded Maya, whispering doubts and fears into her mind. Clutching her talisman, she focused on the mantra, her voice cutting through the cacophony. With one final chant, a blinding light erupted from the talisman, severing the dark magic tethering Kankali to the tree. The banyan burst into flames, and the creatures dissolved into smoke. Kankali's form began to fade, her expression one of gratitude and sorrow. "You have freed me, child. Now it is your turn to free your people." When Maya returned to the village, the elders dismissed her story as foolishness. But over time, the villagers noticed a change. The forest no longer felt oppressive, and the whispers around the banyan tree ceased. Inspired by Maya's bravery, the younger generation began questioning the Chhaupadi Pratha, planting the seeds of change. Years later, the Chhau Goths were abandoned, and Maya's tale became a legend, a story of courage, magic, and the fight against ignorance. The banyan tree, once a symbol of fear, became a place of hope, its ashes nourishing the soil where wildflowers now bloomed.